Objective: students use special rules to prove triangles are congruent. Hello, in this lesson, I'm going to go over the 5 reasons for triangles to be congruent. 2 triangles can be congruent only by 5 reasons, and we listed on the screen here for you. Starting from the one on the left, we have side, side, side. Angle, side, angle. Hypotenuse and one leg. Sometimes we call this one hypotenuse and one side. RHS, which stands for right angle hypotenuse side, or HS. And this is the only case where we have right triangle to use this reason for triangle congruency. Next, side angle side, the angle is included, which means the angle is in between. Included is the formal word we use in the textbook. Finally, angle, angle side. The side are not included, whereas this reason might get confused. The side must be in between or included between the angles. We also have 2 reasons you cannot use it, never ever use it for triangle congruency. And it's said right here, cannot be used for triangle congruence. And we have one of those reasons is the angle, angle, angle. When all 3 angles are congruent, the side could be different. And that's when we have similar triangle. And we cannot call it congruence when all the angles are congruent to each other. The next one is side, side angle, and I know it's spelled bad when you spell backwards. It is bad when you spell it backwards, so don't do that. And that is also maybe one of the tricks you can use to remember. Don't use that reason because, when you write it the other way, it's bad. So never use it in your triangle congruence. On corresponding part on similar figures, you can check out previous lesson. We also had problem solving in previous lesson as well. Today we are going over congruent triangles. So we have a little cartoon for you. It's SAS, that's the side angle side triangles. It said, I'm looking really good today. Don't you agree? Of course I agree. You look just like me. That's cute. We are going to show you the condition for congruence, and you want to also be able to recognize the shape. We have a little animations right behind my bubble where triangle congruents are going to be the exact same shape, the exact same size. Sometimes you might see it in different orientations. So remember, when it's turned, you gotta kind of imagine going it, turning it clockwise or counterclockwise to make it match. The following is not a good example to show you. However, I did anyway to somewhat show you the thinking process when we look at size, when we look at angle, but we are going to fast forward a little bit. Which of the following shapes are congruent? Explain your reasoning.
I have the green one with the side given 8.5, 8.5, and 13. I have the blue one, 100 degrees. Okay, this is not given to be degrees, so I know that these 2 are not congruent. And maybe it's congruent to this one. Look, 100 degree on the pink. So blue and pink are congruent. Why? The reason is side, angle, side. You got it. Angle is in between, or remember the formal word? Included, yes. Then you have side, angle, side on the blue and pink right here. Now, next one, we have 40 degree, 8.5. 8.5 is on the green triangle here, but I don't have any degree for, how about this one? 8.5 and 100 degree. Again, I don't have anything on the green to identify that, but I do have, let's see, 8.5 as the side. Yes, I do have that. And even though this angle is not shown, but 8.5 is the same and we are marked with the same. How about the side? We don't know the side length, but we do know that these are congruent to each other. These are congruent to each other. And it looked like maybe all the angles are congruent to each other, but that is one of the things we cannot use as angle, angle, angles we cannot use that as triangle congruency. So these two, we cannot use angle, 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 and that's the one that we will say not congruent. The yellow one, let's take a look. 8.5 on the side and 13. So 8.5 is on the side. I know this is also 8.5, even though it's not labeled. On the yellow triangle, look, the side, we have one tick mark. That means they are the same congruent side. 8.5 on this, then it's also the same here. And then that's exactly this green, and we do have a reason for triangle congruence is side, side, side.
Let's go ahead and put in the answer for this. Here's our answer again. We put it in on this slide. And I borrow a lot of images from this slide share. This is the address on the very top. I'm going to share with you some of the things you must mark. Overlapping sides, or we just call it share side. Shared angles, shared side, sometimes it's not marked. You must mark it on the drawings. And it's going to be congruent to itself. We call this the reflexive property. Vertical angles are sometimes not marked. You must mark it yourself when we have vertical angles. Alternate interior angles and corresponding angles in parallel lines will not be marked as well. What other pairs of angle need to be marked so that the two triangles are congruent by angle, angle, side? The side is not included. So if we want the angle, angle, side, then the answer is angle E and angle N must be marked so that it can be angle, angle, side. You see, this is the angle, this is the angle, and it's going to be congruent to the angle over here. And then the side is not included, which means it's not in between the angles. So the answer possible is angle E congruent to angle N. You must mark it. If you mark angle D, it will turn out to be angle, side, angle. And we have that reason, but we don't want that reason in this question. We want angle, angle, side, not angle, side, angle. What other pair of angles need to be marked so that the two triangles are congruent by angle, side, angle? So this angle pair F, angle F is congruent to angle M, and we want the reason to be angle, side, angle. Then the side must be included, which means in the middle of the angle. Then I must have this angle L mark, and this angle D must be the matching corresponding angle mark with two arcs. So then we will have the reason angle, side, angle. So the answer is angle D congruent to angle L. Example 4. Determine if whether each pair of triangle is congruent by angle, side, angle or angle, angle, side. If it is not possible to prove that they are congruent, write not possible. So let's take a look at the figure and try to ignore the answer on the bottom. We have one side marked congruent with one tick mark. One angle G and angle J is marked, given congruent by one arc mark on the drawings. We don't have anything else, or do we? We do have one more pair of angles congruent. Guess what it is? It's the vertical angle. Two intersecting lines. We have the vertical angle I. It happened to be I on both sides. So we call this one angle GIH and KIJ. These are vertical angles. It's not marked, but you can mark it. Always when we have vertical angle, it's congruent to each other. Now we have angle, angle, side for the reason. So angle, angle, side is the answers and not angle, side, angle, where the side has to be in the middle. Example 7. Determine if whether each pair of triangle is congruent by angle, side, angle or angle, angle, side. If it is not possible to prove that they are congruent, write not possible. Share side. If it's not marked, you must mark it yourself that is congruent to itself. Notice we have parallel lines. So that means we also have these alternate interior angle congruent. So then I will have side, side, angle. Well, that's one of the reasons we cannot use. So forget that one. We can have the, because of the parallel line, we also have this angle congruent to this angle, and then this angle congruent to this angle. Oh, so that means angle, side, angle congruent to the other triangle. So angle, side, angle, and side, angle, side. So side, angle, side is where we have this side here, and then this angle, and then this side, shared side, congruent. We have two answers possible: side, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. We have the pink triangles, and we have two pairs of side mark congruent to two pairs of side mark on the triangle on the left and on the right, and one angle which is not in between the side. And this is where we have the reason side-side angle, and we cannot prove these triangle congruent by side-side angles. Remember, it's bad when you say it, so don't use that reason. Another place where you will see questions, and I really like these questions, is on the IXL quiz. You will see some of these on your check for understanding. Which rule explain why these triangles are congruent? We have the choices: angle, side, angle, side, angle, side, 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 side. These triangles cannot be proven congruent. And this is where you have to look at the triangle. There are different orientations, their turns. You have to imagine or look at the markings and the hints given to select one of these answers. Side, side, submit. Yeah. These are work that you might see for the congruence unit on this triangle congruence worksheet. Refer to notes or flashcard. For each pair of triangles, state the postulate or theorem that can be used to conclude that the triangles are congruent. Remember, we have 5 reasons. You want to list those 5 reasons for triangle congruence on the bottom first, so that you can look at the hint on the bottom when you are filling out the blank for question in each box. Then don't forget to check your answers when it's available during class. Use corresponding sides and angles. Here we give you the practice to write the congruent statement. FIG is given, so we don't have a choice to name the first triangle, but you must name the corresponding matching triangle. FIG, FIG. Which one is corresponding to F? You're going to name that first. Which one is corresponding to I? Which one is corresponding to G? You are writing the answers in the blank. If we have time, we will also do a foldable for the triangles congruent. Let us go over to the work you are asked to do. We have some matching activity. Yay! You are going to get the Google slide. We have 5 reasons. Remember, 5 reasons. We can count it on one hand. Right hypotenuse side is just as a reminder. Remember that one. I usually call it HL, hypotenuse lake. And remember, hypotenuse is only in right triangle. I know this one is called RHS, but that is the hypotenuse lake. We'll just stick with the HL. Remember, side-side angle, when we spell it back, is that. Don't use that. Don't use that reason for congruency. We also have the demonstration of an animation down below the SSA to show you why we cannot use that. Proved it on the animation for you. Math Rep is the assignment name, and what you're going to do is you are going to drag and drop the correct answer pieces into the correct box on top with the title side, angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle, side, angle, side, side, side. Hypotenuse lake, we use this one, we don't use the other one, RHS. I just want to show you that just in case you might see it in other textbook or mentioned somewhere else. Not congruent. Remember 2 reasons we cannot use for congruent: angle, 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 and S A S S A side, side angle. We are going to go ahead and demonstrate some of these pieces for you. Once you are finished, we will actually get a patterns. So you will be able to actually check the answer before Miss Nong show any answers, because the answer will have a pattern. We are going to go ahead and demonstrate this. I will have to be out of the present mode to drag and drop the pieces. I'm just going to pick on the first one. And if you need to see it bigger, you can always drag and make it bigger, just like that. I have, let's say, side, and one angle, and the angle is not in between. So we cannot use the side angle side, because for this first choice, you must have the angle included or in between the side. The angle is not in between the sides. See, it's on the right hand side, also on the bottom here. Side angle is one of the reasons we don't use for congruency. Not congruent. Look at the next one. I'm just going to pick one on random. And here it is. We can make it bigger. If we don't see it, you can put this in the present mode so that you can see it. Or you can just drag it and make it bigger like I did. And then I did Control Z to put it back. I'm going to have the side and the side and nothing else. Not enough information. Not congruent then. We don't have side for the congruent triangle. And we can go ahead and leave it there. Next, I'm going to pick one of the green. Okay, the green one. Let's take a look at this one. I made it bigger. Angle, side. No, not side. Okay, there is a side. Side given to be congruent. Do you see it? It's the share side. It's the side in the middle. It's going to be congruent to itself when it's shared between the two triangles. Even though we don't mark it, you know a share side is always congruent to itself, and we call it reflexive property because it's going to be equal to itself. We do have one side. We do have two angle side. Yes, we do have that. So I'm going to make that piece smaller so that it fit the box. And I do that by just doing Control Z or Command Z, depend on the computer that you have. Angle side. And that's how you will work on these. Once you're done, you will be able to see a pattern. To check out the pattern, see here's the answers, but it's not completed yet. Ms. Nong is still working on it. Using congruent figures to solve for missing values. So this is the step up on problem solving with congruent figures. You can see we no longer have triangle. We could have any figures. Quadrilateral, pentagon, hexagon, trapezoid, and this happened to be quadrilateral to be safe for side. In the diagram, I'm given the statement NPLM congruent to EFGH. Find the value of x and then find the value of y. We have x and y, and x is this side. I see that it's a side because it has the meter. It doesn't have the degree. The only one that has degree would be the angle measure, like the one with the y. You see the y, 7y plus 9. The degree, that means that is talking about the angle, EE, and not side. And any other unit will be on for side. So meter is for side. So on the x, we're solving for the side length, and then we find f. Let's see how we would solve this problem. What I would do is I would, see this one, which one is it matched to? If I have to turn it turn counterclockwise. The second piece is turned counterclockwise just one time. This side to be up here on the 8 meters corresponding side. See, it's easier if I look at the corresponding statement. Well, to me, I think it is. GH, let's take a look at GH. It's the last two letter. The last two letter on this statement on the left is LM. LM is a meter. You see, that's how I know to set up my equation. A equal 2x minus 3, and then solve for x. Side LM equal to side GH. equal to 2x minus 3, you're just solving for the x by isolating or doing the inverse and add 3 to both sides. We get 11 on the left to equal 2x, and then divide 2 to both sides. We will get 11 divided by 2, which is going to be something 0.5. 5.5? 5.5. Now, sometimes the answer will be 11 over 2 and not a decimal number, so be careful. 11 over 2, or it could be a mixed number. We are looking for the angle, and we know it's angle because of the unit degree. 7y plus 9, and the corresponding angle, if I turn this one sideways, this is going to be the corresponding angle, 72 degrees. To test it out in this statement, I have angle E, and angle N. Look at angle E. Angle E is the first letter on the right. Angle N is also the first letter on the left side. Okay, that's the first letter N. So that's how I get the corresponding angle from this statement. And I also show you how to take it from the figure. Whichever is better for you, you can use it. We are setting 72 equal to 7y plus 9. Inverse operation, subtract 9 to both sides. Subtract 9 from 72, I get 63. And then divide 7 to both sides, I will get 9. My answer is whole and nice this time. Y equal 9. We're done. This is the step up from just getting the congruent triangles, match the reason to it. This is the step up. Example 4. Check your understanding by completing alone. Given that triangle XYZ congruent to triangle RST, find the value of A. This is where it would be a good idea to pause and try. See if you can get the right answers for A. Ready to see the answers? Pause and try. Check your understanding. Write a triangle congruent statement for the two triangles below. The first one on the left, I would do alphabetical order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, F, G, and then H with alphabetical order for those letters. I would put that in first, and then with the angle F, I find the matching corresponding angle J, which is F, one arc, J, one arc on the angle. J has to be listed first. Two arc on the angle with the two arc, and the one without any arc, those are the H, and that would be vertical angle. They're congruent to each other. FGH, JKH. We want to go over this word, CPCTC. It means corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. We are taking some of the first letter to put in the CPCTC abbreviation. What I want to go over is the proof. When you are given proof, the first thing you want to do is make sure you list out all your given, and the given will just have the reason given. We write the statement on the left, we write the reason on the right, and anytime that you see it is from the problem itself, we just claimed it given. Anything that you need to prove will be the last line on the statement. That's what we're asked to prove. We put it on the last line of the statement. Corresponding part of congruent triangles or congruence will only be used after the triangles are proven to be congruent. That is why you can see we proved it to be congruent by side, and then we can use the CPCTC as a reason. See all the marking that we did with the given, then have the reflexive property. Hopefully everyone is used to that by now. This is a simple proof. The same thing with the second proof. See, we try to mark all the tick marks for given size and angle that are congruent, and anything given to us, we want to mark it in here. The first one is triangle ABD and triangle CBD are right triangles. So that was given. We marked it with the 90 degree. And the side that is given, I marked it with the tick mark. AB is congruent to CD. And the share side is not given, but we can always mark it when it is shared. A share angle or share side is reflexive, and that's the reason we say that they are congruent by the hypotenuse lake. We can use the CPCTC for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent because we try to prove that this angle A and angle C are congruent to each other because all of everything's in here, all parts of this triangle will be congruent to this triangle by the HL, hypotenuse lake theorem. We can go ahead and say that angle A is now congruent to angle C, and that is what you're asked to prove. You can see this is always the last line. Whatever you asked to prove, it will be the last line on the statement. And we use CPCTC, corresponding part of congruent triangle are congruent, and point that out. Overlapping triangles, given we have AC congruent to AB. In AC is this length, AC. AB is this length. They are congruent to each other. I would mark them. In the overlapping triangle, it might be confusing. So I would recommend you draw this triangle outside. And I would draw the overlapping triangle ACE first. This is ACE, and we will go ahead and draw that. Another triangle ADB, draw that. It's not perfect, but we can see what it is. We can go ahead and label the parts that we have. A. What I have done is trace out the overlapping triangle, that one, the first one, and the second one, so that I can mark it without getting it confused in the main drawings. AC congruent to AB, I will go ahead and use one tick mark for. AE is congruent to AD, use two tick mark. Congruent to AD, AD is over here. So these are the two given, and we can go ahead and list it on this statement. We will use the reason. What is the reason for writing it on the statement? It is given. Sometimes your proof for a given, these given will be spread out and not always on the top. So it might be on number 1 and maybe it's listed again on number 3. Number 2 might be something that you have to fill out. So anytime you are getting these straight from the problem itself, we just write the reason given on the right hand side, the reasons. Or justification is another word for reasons. Next, can we look at the main drawings and what else can we get from this drawing to prove triangles are congruent? What else is given in here? Well, I see that this is the angle, and you see these are overlapping triangles, so the angle is shared between the overlapping triangle. We can mark it congruent, a reflexive property. It is congruent to itself. So I'm going to use an arc on the angle. For number 3, we will list that angle A is congruent to itself, and we don't want to write angle A. We will not know which A, so we are going to use 3-letter when it is a shared angle. CAE is congruent to BAD. We have all the markings in. What is the reason we can use for triangle congruence? This triangle is congruent to this triangle by side, angle, side. The angle is included, side, angle, side. And we just use SAS to stand for side, angle, side. Make a small triangle to represent the triangle that we're talking about, ACE, congruent to triangle ABD. And we write it in this statement. what we will use as the reason, we haven't filled out the reason over here. The angle here, we said that it is shared, and that is the reflexive property. That's why we write it to be congruent on the statement. That is reflexive. We will write reflexive. The triangles are congruent because of the side angle side. We will fill that out in this line on the reason side. Next one, the reason for the triangle congruent is side angle side. We will go ahead and write the abbreviation SAS. And finally, what we're asked to prove, CE congruent to BD, we put it on the statement side as the last line. And the reason we can give is CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Always you can use CPCTC only after you prove the triangles are congruent. This is the end. See you in the next lesson. Bye.